One of my favorite things about the work we do is what I call the ripple effect. You never put yourself at the top of the priority list. You're always at the bottom because you're give. You're taking your kids doing that. You're picking up this. You're helping your parents, your in-laws, your loved ones. Like you're always outwardly doing things for other people. And so to make the decision to invest in yourself and say, no, I need to put myself at the top of the priority list. I want to feel better. I deserve to feel better. And that's such a difficult thing for so many women to do. But then when you do that, you create this really beautiful ripple effect with the rest of your people in your life. So in your case, you started showing up for yourself. You were setting this incredible example for your children, so much so that your daughter noticed, Mom, you're a completely different person.
Not having to put on makeup every day is just a whole burden relieved off of me. Like I can't wait to go on our trip and not have to worry about applying makeup to go to a water park.
For anyone that's been listening to the podcast for a while, and I know there's a lot of you guys out there, you probably know that one of Cris and I's favorite podcasts to get to record is this series that we started, Real Skin, Real Stories, where we have past clients, sometimes like current clients at the end of their time, or past clients in the Clear Skin Solution come on and talk to us about their journey. And I think these are such powerful talks, Cris, because it allows the people listening to hear like, oh my gosh, me too. That's exactly like me. I'm not the only one. I've also been dealing with acne for 20 years. I've also tried everything. Because I think it's one thing to hear you and I talk about these things all the time, but to hear it from somebody who is in their shoes and completely gets where they are right now, I think it's just a really empowering talk.
And hope.
And hope. Yes.
Right. And hope. I think that's the last little nugget. People that have acne or any disease, illness, disorder, they want out of it, right? That's the end goal. However, technology allows us to go down the rabbit hole a lot, or we listen to others' unsolicited advice, even these types of things. And then lo and behold, we just get caught in this hamster wheel. So what I love the most is these bring joy and hope and validation that, yes, you can have it.
And I was really excited that our next guest is Emily. She is such a joy, so lovely. And I've been really enjoying getting to watch from behind the scenes the journey that you've had, because while I don't work one-on-one with clients, I'm always behind the scenes looking what's going on here. And for you, I think this is such a really great talk to listen to, Emily, because, you know, you're a mom of 3 kids. You're busy, you know, you do farming, bookkeeping, and you've been dealing with acne since the age of 15. You're 38 now. So we're dealing with acne for well over 20 years. And this exact scenario is so many of our audience, working moms who've been dealing with acne for 20 years, who've tried all the things. So I would love for you to share, Emily, just like, what was that initial journey like? You know, bring us from 15 to, you know, when you found us in the Clear Skin Solution.
Okay. So I remember I may have even been maybe 14. It was 14, 15. And I had a cyst that kept coming up on my nose in the most, you know, vulnerable place, like Rudolph. And I would just pray that it wouldn't come around at Christmas time, because it was off and on in the same exact spot month after month. And that's when I went to my first dermatologist visit. And they were like, well, that's not acne. That's just a cyst. They put a shot in it. I don't remember what the shot was. And that went away for quite some time, but I would still have, you know, pop-ups here or there. And they were never like the surface level kind. Every kind I would get would be the cyst-like that just hurt. They're deep. And so I struggled with that through high school, which is an awful time to struggle with acne. Thank you, universe, for that. Then in college, it continued. The diet was also a major player here, I think. But I'd been on birth control since I was 15 for no other reason other than, oh, you started your period, put you on birth control. I didn't know any better. Okay, the doctor's telling me this, mom's telling me this, let's do it. So anyways, back to college, struggled with acne throughout college. The diet was not where it needed to be at all. There's pizza every night at 2 a.m., all of the sodas, you know, whenever. And the acne just kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. Oh, I'd been on so many antibiotics by this time that there's no way I could ever recollect to be able to tell you what all they were. The spironolactone, is that how you say it? I'd taken that. I'd done all the creams. Those were absolutely useless. So while I was in college, I got engaged and was about to get married. I went to the dermatologist. I was like, I've got to do something about my face. And that's when they put me on Accutane for the first time. I think my first round was 8 months. Cleared up, had beautiful skin on my wedding day. I was 21 at the time. You know, never felt better. Everything's going my way. I have all this energy because I'm young. And then I was probably clear for 3 to 4 years. I was like, well, that was my end all be all. This is great. Really is a miracle drug. I would recommend this to anyone ever struggling with acne. I got pregnant when I was 24, 25. I think I was 24. And when I tell you that every acne that had been suppressed for the last 4 years started coming out of my body, I could not sit back in a chair. It was so painful. There was acne all over my back. I couldn't wear a V-neck because my chest, the cyst, my shoulders, everywhere. My face was a nightmare. Didn't want to take maternity pictures. That was not an option. I did have a neighbor friend take one with, you know, a small camera, but there was no way I was getting in front of a camera like that because it was so bad. I even, during the pregnancy, got put on an antibiotic, which, you know, times have changed.
Well, so you don't know what you don't know, right?
No, you have no idea.
When you look back now on that journey you've had of the antibiotics, the Accutane, the spironolactone, the birth control, you didn't know any better because you don't know what you don't know. But so I never want, you know, women or clients to think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that and be so hard on themselves because you didn't know.
I didn't know. And when you're in that moment, you just want out. You're willing to take anything that anyone is going to offer. So I had that child. The acne was kind of here or there. It was always the cyst-like. And I remember seeing people with just tiny bumps, being, I wish I had their acne. Like, who thinks like that? But if I could just have little acne instead of cyst-like acne. So I did, it was kind of just, it was a roller coaster. It wouldn't break out really bad and get very inflamed, but it was constant. It was like a nagging, okay, you've always gotten a breakout on your face. Less than 2 years later, I was pregnant again. The same thing happened. I didn't do anything about it that time. It wasn't as bad, I think, on my back and my neck, but it was my face. You know, I'm on birth control in between all this. Different kinds. I don't even remember all the types. There were so many. Then I got pregnant again, and the same thing happened in 2017. And I did okay. I was probably the clearest since Accutane that I'd been in about the 2018 era. And then I don't know what triggered it. I don't know what happened. I don't know that there was one specific point that was, okay, we're turning a page and now we have acne again. But it was just a culmination of a bunch of factors, I guess. And I started getting one here and there. And I was like, what is happening? And then it became inflamed. I was like, oh, no, we can't do this again. I got back on Accutane. I believe it was 2021. I was on it for 6 months and cleared up pretty nicely. But within a month of coming off of it, it came back worse than ever on my face. I'd never had the big cystic on my cheeks and my jawline. I'd never had that. They'd always been more sporadic. I would have a good many breakouts on my forehead and chin. But the ones that I was getting on my cheeks and my neck were unbelievable. I mean, the size of a dime. And I have no other options. I've done Accutane twice. Here it is. This has got to be something internal. So I started seeking alternative medicine. My best friend is a nutritionist, which was super helpful. And she was like, your acne is going to be the last thing to heal. She told me the hard truth. And I was like, that's not really what I want to hear. Like, I want to hear you've cut out gluten, give it 3 months, and you're going to be well. But heeding her wiseness, I pushed through. And I actually found you guys on the podcast. I work in strawberries. So there's 3 or 4 hours twice a week that I can listen to anything while I'm picking. And I would Google or search the bar for holistic acne treatments. What causes acne? I mean, if you any word combination that you can imagine, I was putting that in this search bar in my podcast. And then I came across you guys. And, I was thinking, okay, well, before I found your podcast, I was like, okay, so I need this mushroom coffee because that's going to heal it. And there are all these things that I was consumed. I was consumed by how am I going to get this acne to go away? And that was all I thought about. The whole time I would work, it was, at least 8 hours a week nonstop listening to different podcasts of things that are going to get this acne to go away, things that are triggering this acne. And then I found your podcast and I listened to the whole podcast twice before I jumped in. And so here I am.
And here you are.
On the podcast.
I know, because we chatted a few weeks ago, and I love that this is such a full circle moment for you, right? And I'm obsessed with full circle moments. I think they're the best, where here you are struggling, obsessing over your skin, like any acne sufferer listening knows. Yeah, I absolutely obsess, where it's all you think about, consume, you're adding to cart, you're thinking all I need is X, Y, and Z. And then you hear the podcast, and then months later, now you're on the podcast as well, sharing your journey. So I think it's just such a beautiful moment for you. And I'm so, so excited for you to be here. And I'm really grateful for you to share your story like that, because it's not easy to be so open and vulnerable on a topic like acne. And I think the more that we can be open and vulnerable, the more women are like, okay, like I said at the beginning, me too. I'm not the only one this is happening to. So for you, you had worked with a functional medicine practitioner. You had tried changing your diet, cutting out the gluten, the sugar, the processed foods, all of that. And, did you ever have that moment where you're like, okay, well, I've changed all of these things, but my skin isn't clear. What's going on?
Oh, every day that I would wake up and still have a new one when I haven't had sugar in 6 months. Yes, I had those times where, I just didn't know where else to turn. I felt like I was doing all the things right. I just there was a missing piece to my puzzle that I could never find.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about acne is, okay, well, you figure out, okay, it has to be internal. It has to be something going on inside. So you start making all these changes. And then when you don't see immediate results, or even results within 6 months, you're like, okay, well, this isn't working. But the issue is it's not that it's the healthy eating isn't doing anything. Of course, it's setting this beautiful foundation. But as we know, Cris, acne is so multifaceted. There's so many different layers that need to be thought of outside of just eating healthy and taking out the sugar and the gluten and the dairy.
Absolutely. I have the pleasure of seeing everybody's files and chatting with the coaches, and that's my role. So first, like the color of your shirt. We didn't even call each other. Look at us. Sorry, Katie, didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo on the beautiful mahogany burgundy today.
Right? This is the way it's rolling today. However, what I see often is when other people have engaged like yourself, and they've gone through functional, doctors or naturopaths or something. Some of the things I see right off the bat: vitamin D, zinc, and some kind of detox supplement to get that liver doing its thing, or a binder, right? And yours was no different. I've had a couple of things to kind of calm things down, a very specific, like Akkermansia to, probiotic in order to repopularize, these types of things. However, when I see your picture, the picture and where your acne was disconnected almost to the supplements. And it's not to, and this is, again, I always say it's not to poo-poo on anyone's things. When you are engulfed in acne, when you make it your life mission, your passion, we use all these different realms like face mapping. This is why we asked you for your pictures at the beginning. We also want to, track, and we want to teach you, because sustainability, I'm pretty sure you can agree that you've built some lifestyle habits and now they're sustainable practices, right? So these little nuggets, and that's what we saw. However, right off the bat, the redness. So no word of lie, people are not seeing this now, but Emily you could tell that they were painful, cystic, acne and boil-like. And they ran from cheek all the way down the neck. And so even if you moved your neck, I'm pretty sure you could feel that acne. You were picking strawberries, you could feel it. The difference is, one, we see it. However, when you're like, I'm picking strawberry, I could physically feel you like moving your head and going, oh my gosh, because the acne, you would feel the movement of the acne and the boils, right? So that's the difference. And that's the things we have to notice when we're dealing with the acne. So it's almost like, even if you wanted to forget about the acne, you always have these constant gentle reminders.
Always. I mean, to lay down on my pillow at night was painful.
Because it's that throbbing, right? Especially if you're dealing with those cystic acne, the ones that are deeper under the skin that, don't have the whiteheads, that are just sitting there brewing. It's inflammation, and it's just swelling in your face. And like, even, I remember when I had acne, I'd have it on my chin, like my whole side of my chin would be like lopsided because it was so swollen from the cysts. And you're like, is my face deformed? Like, what is happening? But it's because they're so painful. And unless you've had acne, you kind of can't understand how painful they can be.
If somebody's had wet eczema, it's similar. That's what acne feels. Or hand, foot, mouth, the boils that come out in that. If anybody's experienced that, you will know exactly what Emily's like referencing. And if you haven't had it, good. Don't go out and try it at home, right? It's not what we want to. However, that inflammatory behavior that you're holding, and the hair analysis where the strontium, calcium, magnesium, and barium are all there, the inflammation, the body is acidic. So the body can't change its pathway. So we can put all the binders and we can try and support the liver and we can try and do what we want. However, you have inflammation. You had the swelling, you had the pain, right? We didn't have the itching, but we had the heat. So if we have enough inflammatory markers, what's the first thing we do here in the Clear Skin Solution? We're going to go to reduce the inflammation right off the bat. And I was following your journey, even with the photos, and just based on an 8-week protocol, already the reduction of the redness dissipated. And we're like, eureka. Yes. I mean, you were like, eureka. We were there with you. Because we want your change as much as you want your change.
That's been the game changer, is you guys are totally invested in your clients, that, through the coaching and the resources that you provide, it shows.
I am so glad you feel like that, because we really do, even though Cris thinks I say this word too much, we obsess over our clients. Like, we really do obsess over our clients, because having been in acne stuff for myself, I know exactly what it feels like when you're stuck in that situation you can't get out, where it's just a constant weight on you, when it's all you can think about. You don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, you don't feel confident. You don't want to go out. And to be able to help women through that and give them that freedom and that confidence back, I know how life-changing it is. So this is why our entire team is so intense with our clients, because we want them to feel better. Because when women feel better, they can show up in an incredible way in the world and do the things that they're supposed to.
We're also women, right? So Katie had a history of acne. I had a history of acne for sure. It wasn't favorable. Mine was definitely on my back and my chest. And that's when my adrenals started going. I didn't know there was a connection. I didn't know that was cortisol. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that was affecting my estrogen. I think I was like 19.
None of us knew any better.
I didn't know any better, right? So I feel that I couldn't. And, I didn't really have the full face of acne as I started maturing into my 20s, but did it come with a vengeance to my body? And that is, you're not wearing tank tops and you don't want to, and you're different. Now I'm extremely different, right? I've always been different, but now I'm extremely different because I'm not wearing bathing suits. And I will tell you, even to this day, I will wear bathing suits, but there is some kind of connection to when I was in my early 20s that I will not wear like a bikini. And it's not from a body like structure type, like anything like that. It's from that deep seated emotional connection to how I felt when I had the acne. And now working in acne, you get it, right?
Yeah. I have the same feeling. I was asked to be in about, there were 6 to 8 weddings during the college years and right after college. And to put on a bridesmaid's dress that didn't cover the shoulders, I do not wear. If I buy a dress still, it covers my shoulders. And my back is clear.
Those little traumas that we relate back to certain instances. And now we have it wired in our brain of, oh no, I don't wear strapless dresses because I used to have acne. So I think that's a whole nother, mindset shift that you end up working through even after the acne is gone, because those lingering impacts, emotional, mental impacts that the acne had doesn't just go away as soon as your acne clears. And that's not something we've talked about yet, I don't think, Cris, right? Is that lingering emotional, mental component once you're better, having to retrain your brain to start thinking differently.
Yeah, we need to add that to cart. Add that to podcast cart.
We got to add that to cart. That's a really good topic.
It's deep, and we deal with it all the time with clients, right? I mean, even as you're going through your journey, and myself, I do mindset all the time, like all the time. Sometimes I get out of it. Don't get me wrong. I get a little tired, these things. However, I know how to shift it. And if I know the importance and I know how to shift it, and I practice this lifestyle, and I have for well over a decade, I always think, oh my goodness, we need to really focus on that mindset as we're going through. And that's why it's a pillar, right, Katie? Like we understand this is 100% a pillar. And why? Because we don't want to carry all of that forward, because what happens with the acne is we can give you all the foods and the supplements and the lifestyle, and you can add all those things. If we don't have that mental component, what happens a year later? What happens when we hear that triggering comment? So I can wear a tank top and I'm totally fine with it. But you're like dress, I'm like bathing suit. Like, I don't know what it is.
It's just that thing, right? And like for me, because I worked in television at the time, I was always thinking, okay, well, what side of my face looks more clear? How far back? So like, even when I go to take a photo now, it's like a split second in my brain. I think about it. I'm like, no, Katie, your skin's clear. It really is. Even after my skin being clear for a decade, I still have that like half a second thought where I'm like, oh, should I stand? Oh no, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, it's the pictures, right? And we didn't have, apps and filters and all of those wonderful things back when we had acne. We were dealing with like those like point and shoot cameras.
Yes, and I'm not good at using the filters. You get what you get.
You get what you get. I know.
I like it. But that's standing in your power, and that's all part of it. You get what you get. You have a big smile on your face, and this is kind of the stuff I wish people could see. Coming in, you have a certain disposition in your face, fair? Mm-hmm. It looks a certain way. And now the last pictures that we have, the face changes. Even though we always ask everyone to kind of do the consistency of the face. So like, if your eyes were closed, whatever you want open, the vibrancy, the
energy of the individual is what it is.
Your vitality is just like, bing.
My mother-in-law mentioned that one day, and I didn't realize that it had been a thing, but she was like, you're really laughing again. I was like, really? I didn't know I wasn't laughing before. Like, it wasn't a fake laugh. But I guess there was just more joy behind it.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's those small little comments, right? It's the things that you don't think about, but for your mother-in-law to notice, you're like really laughing. Like, that means there's a distinct change in the energy that you're putting out and the vibration you're putting out. And like, those are the things I absolutely love hearing, because it's the unexpected things that happen. And like Cris says, is when the clients come in and we're looking at the photos, it so is interesting to look at their very first set and then their ending photos to see that they almost look like a completely different person, because you can feel the different energy coming through the picture. It's like this lightness and this aura. It's really hard to explain.
I understand.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I can see by your pictures. You totally understand. It's really cool that your mother-in-law said you're really laughing again. Mm-hmm. That's heart-centered. And that heart center is joy. So that is something in traditional Chinese medicine. When we are connected to our heart, we feel joy and we emanate joy, right? And so that it's enough that another person felt the joy and commented on the joy. So that's what Katie's saying about the frequency.
I do have another thing about that. My 13-year-old daughter, she rides in the front seat with me. That's my little sidekick now. She mentioned, she was like, I really liked watching us grow spiritually this year. And I was like, you really feel like that about me? She was like, Mom, you are such a different person. I was like, oh, thank you. For your 13-year-old to tell you you've grown, over the last year.
That's such a heartwarming, like, we're all moms, obviously.
And it's not just because of the acne. It's just that the release of the acne and being able to be more confident in myself. And
that's two gold stars right there.
Yeah, I think that's like 10 gold stars.
I'm so excited. Yes.
10 gold stars.
Waiting
absolutely.
for stars?
Yes. I'm waiting on the stars to be passed out.
10 gold stars, Emily.
Oh my gosh, we're up in the bar now. You got 10 gold stars.
Again, one of my favorite things about the work we do is what I call the ripple effect, right? Is that when you, like, especially as women, and so many of our clients are moms, that you never put yourself at the top of the priority list. You're always at the bottom because you're give. You're taking your kids doing that. You're picking up this. You're helping your parents, your in-laws, your loved ones. Like, you're always outwardly doing things for other people. And so to make the decision to invest in yourself and say, no, I need to put myself at the top of the priority list. I want to feel better. I deserve to feel better. And that's such a difficult thing for so many women to do. But then when you do that, you create this really beautiful ripple effect with the rest of your people in your life. So in your case, you started showing up for yourself. You were setting this incredible example for your children, so much so that your daughter noticed, Mom, you're a completely different person. And, we just don't know how those small little changes are going to show up and positively impact our kids. And then that ripple effect moves out from there. Now, I want to go back to the HTMA a little bit. And I specifically wanted to talk about this because, Emily, coming in, you were somebody who had been seeing a functional medicine practitioner. You had given up all of the things. You were doing different protocols. You were doing all of those right things. So for you to come in and then get your HTMA results back, how did having those results and in someone being like, okay, this is actually what's happening in your body, you're not crazy, how did that feel?
Oh, that was a very confirming to know that I saw the results. And, there were things like my iron, for example, was very low on a blood test. But then in my hair analysis, several things were high or, sufficient. And I was like, this doesn't make sense at all. And I read the descriptions, and it was malabsorption was a lot of my problem. So I was like, see, I knew there was something. So yes, it was very validating to know that it's happening for a reason. It's not just because you don't wash your face well. Because, you hear that. Just wash your face.
Yeah, just got to wash your face and drink a little bit more water, and your skin should be clear. You're just not doing a good job washing your face at night. And I love that, Cris, you mentioned as well that based on her HTMA, there was tons of inflammation. So we needed to go that anti-inflammatory route, massively bring down inflammation over 8 weeks. But Emily coming in was eating pretty anti-inflammatory. And I think this is where a really big disconnect happens for a lot of clients when they come in and they're like, oh, well, like I've already been eating healthy. I don't understand why I have to do something similar of your anti-inflammatory. So Cris, can you break that down? I was really glad that this popped up because we see this all the time.
So one, let me ask Emily, when you came in eating relatively anti-inflammatory and then went on the Clear Skin anti-inflammatory, did you see any differences of our expectations versus what you were already applying?
There were some things that were anti-inflammatory or inflammatory that I was consuming that I didn't know because I was doing everything based on my peasant research on Google. So, and I wasn't one that would, question a whole lot. Like if you guys told me to do something, that's what I'm going to do, because I've listened to 2 podcasts and then I've listened to all of the AMAs back from 2023. And I told Katie on our earlier conversation, I could tell you guys knew what you were talking about. So, but I couldn't fit it in my brain. So whatever you guys told me to do was what I was going to do. So that was comforting to have you guys, as that external hard drive. But yes, there were some things that were inflammatory in my diet when I joined that I really hated to cut out, but did without putting up a fight. So, yeah.
That's one thing. So one, is it the same as what we recommend? So there's a notable. On top of that is if you come in and you're eating clean and it is very aligned with the Clear Skin solution, Outside of that, now we're adding specific supplements in order to get into avenues to help the blockages resolve, right? You were eating anti-inflammatory and you still held a dominant acidic pattern. So a dominant inflammatory pattern. It's not foods alone. And that's what we say. So when you come in, your skin, the pictures are going to tell us 1,000 stories. The HTMA is going to be able to refine the story. Your history is going to be able to refine the story. Everything you've done is going to be able to refine the story. And then we get the low-hanging fruit. So I know how people say, I already do this and I don't know why I'm doing this again. And I've already tried that. And I'm like, okay, just give me 8 weeks. And can you attest, even as you're going through the anti-inflammatory, you were changing a few things and you're like, oh, I didn't want to take them out. And then you're like, oh, I'm taking them out. Oh, I kind of feel better. Oh, I've got some supplements that are supporting me. Oh, what's happening here? However, you still had a lot of flexibility. It's not our goal to come in and go, oh, by the way, you no longer do these 1,500 things that you used to do. Here's the 6 you do. Here's the 6 you eat, right? For yourself, specifically your calcium and sodium, even though they was acidic, is one of 2 things really in the acne world. Because anyone that does HTMAs and listening, they're like, oh, well, Cris, there's more. I know there's more. But in the acne world, when calcium sodium goes low, I want to look at caloric intake. Are you eating enough to your expenditures? Because I guarantee you, if you told me you had exuberant amount of energy, I'm going to say, Emily, where's that energy?
See, that's the thing. I thought I did. I didn't feel, every now and then I'd have, that 3 o'clock crash, but I thought I had energy. Oh, I had no idea what the world had waiting for me.
Right. Because we use hormones to give us energy. Should we not be able to create our own sustainable energy? And we get energy from our macronutrients, which is our proteins, fats, and fibers, which is cool, right? So I'm like, right? We got a lot going on there. Anyways, the long story short is we had to go anti-inflammatory foods. We had to support the mitochondria to give you sustainable energy, to get that body system going, calm down those adrenals a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And the adrenals can get on fire when we just don't eat enough either. Hormone imbalances. Yeah, it showed hormones. In 6 months, did we touch your sex hormones specifically for supplementation or food?
No, ma'am.
No, we did not. Because things like iron, low blood iron on a lab, and excessive stored hair iron is, why is your body using it in compensation or not using it at all? Mm-hmm. Back to gut. Mm-hmm. It really can be that, well, in my head, it's really that simple. No, I should preface.
It's so simple.
It's totally simple, everyone.
Just know Chris's brain's a little bit different than the average brain here. But I'm glad that, you brought that up, Cris, is so many women think, oh, it's just my hormones. So they come into the Clear Skin solution and they're like, oh, no, it's just my hormones. I need to do a hormone protocol. That's all I need to do. But like we just talked about, is we didn't even touch Emily's hormones. We worked on inflammation for 8 weeks, and we did 3 months of gut microbiome rebalancing, because if she's been on so many rounds of antibiotics and birth control and Accutane, we know there's going to be an imbalance in that microbiome and that acidity as well. And that's what we worked on in the 6 months. And, we do have continuation options for our clients. We have some that like, I want to go and optimize more hormones. I want to do this. I want to do that. So that's where we can welcome them into our graduate program Beyond Clear, where we can start doing a little bit more, additional work to say like lingering symptoms that people may have. So I would love to know, Emily, as you were going through the program, did you find any challenges along the way or obstacles? And because I asked you this question when you and I did our little interview for our the videos. So we shoot client videos as well. So if you want to go and check out Emily's on YouTube, it's there too. So I asked you this question, but I would love for you to share it again.
I don't remember what I said the first time.
Perfect. This was so great.
This might be a totally different answer.
Love it.
Than what I brought up the first time. The most challenging, it was the fear that coffee was going to be my trigger and I was never going to get to have coffee again. But some of the challenges, like cutting out, I'll just use my most recent protocol, for example. I had to be on a pescatarian style diet through Thanksgiving. And I wasn't sure what that would look like. And then I was going, on the cruise, I have a conference that I have to go to. And I just told Jen, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Can we push this off to January? Let's do this after December 30th. Like I'll start it on New Year's Day. But anytime but this. And at first they were like, okay, yeah, that'll be fine. And then Jenna came on and said, it would really be best if you would go ahead and start this. Oh, okay. And I think I almost panicked. Like she knows, like I'm going to panic for just a second. Just give me a day to panic. And then I'll get my thoughts together and do it. And the way that it was laid out and the resources that I had, the meal plans got me through a lot because it was one less thing that I had to think about. I would print off the grocery list and I would eat exactly what the meal plan was. My kids have tried a variety of foods. The asparagus soup was not a hit with them, but it's fine. They tried it and we ate it. But the egg roll in a bowl, the 7-year-old, when can we have this again? So the challenges, there were challenges, but they were so easily overcome with you guys' help. I don't even really consider them challenges.
Because it's not every instance. I should preface this by saying it's not often that we have clients do a therapeutic protocol over Thanksgiving or over a holiday or over something, unless there's like an extenuating circumstance where we're like, hey, I get this is going on, but based on this, I think it would be a really good idea for you to do it. Those are few and far between, but we knew that you were also the type of client that could balance that within their life really well. She knew that you were one that would be able to take that on and crush it as you have done all of it.
Yes. Rainbow trout for Thanksgiving lunch with some homemade basil out of my herb garden. And it was
yum. I love that. That's so good. And I think having that, person in your corner is what a lot of people are missing when they're trying to do it on their own. Cause they're like, oh, like I can just figure it out. I have myself, it'll be fine. But I always give that analogy of all of the best athletes in the world, the Michael Phelps, the Simone Biles, the Conor McGregor, they all have coaches, even though they're the best in their field, in their sport, they all have coaches to not only see the little holes that they don't, but also to keep them motivated when they're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. They're there to be like, no, you can refocus. Let's do this. Focus on that. It's having that person that's always going to have your back.
As soon as Jenna said that, I was like, she knows I can do this. Like, just suck it up and do it. I was like, okay, I'll start Monday. And so now I've made it through the toughest part. I'm on anti-inflammatory right now until the first of the year, and then we'll pick back up with. So it was fun. It was great. And now I get to enjoy the cruise with, anti-inflammatory foods and not just fish. So
there you go. That's a win right there. I would love to know now, Emily, so from when you came in to where you are now, would you be able to share like what's going on with your skin? How are your symptoms? What are those non-skin wins that you found along the way?
Non-skin, well, it's kind of a skin win, but not having to put on makeup every day is just a whole burden relieved off of me. Like I can't wait to go on our trip and not have to worry about applying makeup to go to a water park. So that's definitely a non-skin win. There have been so many. When I joined the program, my inflammation markers were so high that I was being tested for autoimmune, and all of the autoimmune came back, you're fine. Well, I'm not fine. Clearly, I'm not. And those markers are completely resolved. They're all back within normal range. All of the iron was in normal range within, I think, 8 weeks. It didn't take long at all. And I actually just had some blood labs. I had 2 on my CBC that were off. And I just got those back, and that's all within normal range again. So knowing that I'm on the right track and the changes that I've made have, helped me get to that point. I have a super amount of energy. Like I said, I thought I had energy before. And I mentioned to Katie during our last talk that I was never the kind of person to come home at 8:30 at night and do anything besides crash in the bed. And now I can come home, I can clean the sink out, I can do dishes, I can prepare a meal for the next day, and it's no big deal. As long as I get it done, because I'm getting into bed at 9:00. As long as it's done by then, like we got to set a boundary. We got to turn the energy off.
I love how you prioritize your bed because that's what I do.
That's one of my favorite non-skin wins is the energy level and not leaving dirty dishes in my sink overnight.
Who doesn't love not leaving the dirty dishes in the sink? I know. It's like so many times if you're coming home, your kids have activities, sports, you're working late, and then you're like, the kitchen. I don't have the
Or
energy
the
to do
laundry.
it.
It's one or the other at all times. But,
Always something.
I spring out of bed 5 a.m. I can throw in a load of laundry then, and
we got super mom now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, wait, what did you do?
Yeah,
Again, I'm gonna apply that.
What were the protocols you did? Oh,
that's something just to note too, is when we're high inflammation, the things that will go off that will be most notable are energy, bowel, sleep, and mood. And when the inflammation reduces, not just with the skin, but when the inflammation inside the body reduces, we get them back. They're not gone forever. They're just like playing a real big game of hide and seek.
So Emily, so many women listening are probably sitting there thinking, yep, this is me. This is my life 1,000%. I've done all of these things. I'm feeling this way. What is that piece of advice that you have to that woman sitting there where you were 6, 7, 8 months ago listening to the podcast thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do about my skin?
I would just say jump right into the Clear Skin solution. That sounds like an advertisement, but honest to goodness, if I had
we'll take it.
Well, I'll take it. I'm not going to say no.
I wish, I'd known you guys years ago, but I have had people that have noticed the change and have asked, well, what are you doing? I've had people ask, I know you've taken Accutane before. Would you recommend it again? Absolutely not. This is what I would recommend. So I'm like a little spokesperson down here in South Georgia for my best friends in Canada, that I would just jump right in and, quit. Don't let it consume you. It's hard. It's so hard. It's easier on this side of it to say, don't let it consume you, because when you're in that moment, you just want to get out, but try not to let it consume you and lean on you guys as your resource, because you have the information in your brain. Just follow along and enjoy the ride. It's going to have ups and downs, and you're going to have flares, and you may even get a breakout after you've been clear for 3 months. It's okay. We're on the right path. So yeah, I definitely appreciate everything you guys have done, and I'm excited for the next 6 months.
I'm so excited. Like, I love getting to watch clients as they go into Beyond Clear and like really start tackling those little nitty gritty, like whether someone's like, I really want to work on my libido. I really want to work on this, the brain fog, whatever it may be. It almost becomes addicting when you start feeling better. Like, oh my gosh, I can feel like this, and I can feel even better than this. And it's almost like you're playing that video game against yourself where you want to go and get to that next level so you can feel even better. Because when you feel better, it shows up in every area of your life, like you've shared throughout our talk today.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if they've done this and helped my skin get to this point, the sky's the limit to me. Let's keep going.
And you want to know, Emily, I love that you're our little spokesperson down there in Georgia. And fun little fact, I've always wanted to go to Georgia. So I think I'm going to have to invite myself to your house.
Yes, we're an hour from the coast. We can go out on the boat.
Cris,
yes.
Do you want to go to Georgia?
Yeah, you can get some fresh pecans.
We
yes,
can, right?
That is in my yard. Yeah, come on.
She has strawberries. I think we're just going to invite ourselves to her house.
Oh my gosh, we could have strawberry pecan pie.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
We're going to move blog shoot date at Emily's house in Georgia.
Yeah, blog shoot at Emily's.
Mm-hmm.
This was so fun, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and for also sharing, your story over on YouTube as well. So for anyone that wants to actually see photos of Emily through her journal, you can go and check the show notes as well and watch her story there. And this has been so fun. I think this has been so inspiring. And as always, I'm just so grateful that we get to connect on this way with our clients.
Yes, thank y'all. In more ways than one.
You are so welcome. It's Cris and I, it's such an honor to get to do what we do every day. And, I think it's also really great for us to do these, Cris, because we get so caught up in the day to day that, when we take this time and we talk to the clients in such a long way and hear these beautiful stories of the things that your mother-in-law's noticed, the things that your daughters said, like, it really just makes all of the grind that we do so worth it on so many different levels. All right, everybody. That was another episode here at the Clear Skin Chronicles. As always, check the show notes for all of the extra goodies, and we will see you next week on another episode.